Okay, here we are. Hello, it's me again, Dr. Toomer Talks on Tuesdays, and I am here with Dr. Alicia Shelley, who is weight loss and obesity specialist and a physician extraordinaire. So I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then I'll give you information on how you can contact her and work with her and get more information. So I'm just going to let her do this because I know how I am with introductions. I always end up missing something. So I'll let you tell us what you want people to know about you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Alicia Shelley. I am a board certified internal medicine and a diplomat of the American Board of Obesity Medicine. I actually practice a combination of primary care and obesity medicine in the suburbs of Atlanta in Douglasville, Georgia. And I also host a podcast called the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss podcast, where we talk about how you can live a healthier life, how you can lose weight, and just be healthy and happy. And so this is something I'm very passionate about. I've personally have struggled with my weight since childhood, and so I did the podcast so that I can be able to share with others what I wish somebody would have shared with me. So thank you so much, Dr. Toomer, for having me on today. I'm so excited to be able to talk to you and your audience today.
Well, thank you for being here. And when you talk about where you are, we've got to figure out a way of getting people in to see you because you're so popular. It's almost impossible for anyone to get in.
Yeah,
Um, so it's a testament to how good you are at what you do.
yeah, it's a true blessing. It's a true blessing because when I started, I only had like 1 day a week for obesity medicine, and I
Mhm.
was like, oh, no one will come, but we were packed. The need is there, and so I actually put in a request to get an additional day so that I can be able to see more patients, and so. With the different bureaucracies, we're still trying to get that approved. So hopefully we'll keep
Okay.
our fingers because everybody's like looking at me like, what do you mean I can't see you for another 6 months? I'm like, I'm
I know.
sorry.
Because you're my referral source in Atlanta, so it's like when I want to refer someone, you're who I go to.
Well,
Um,
thank you, Dr.
so I just
Toomer.
want to say very quickly, if you're watching, say hello so we know you're here, and if you're watching as a replay, just put in replay later. So I have a question. You mentioned that you said you've been struggling with weight loss your whole life. Um, You've conquered it clearly. And so tell us how you did that. I mean, how did you manage to get on top of and your journey for your weight loss?
Yeah. So, it's so funny. In my mind, I see myself and I'm like, yeah, you're doing well. But the back of my mind is like, this could come back.
Mhm.
You need to like make sure you're on top of it. Like, I feel like I'm in remission at the moment. Like we can have a flare up at any moment. And
Mhm.
so, and the reason why I feel this way is because when I look back over my life, I've had these periods where I lost weight, I was doing well, stress happened, medical school happened, residency happened, and it's like the weight came back with a vengeance. And
Mhm.
so there's been this kind of like this roller coaster of weight. And so for me, I don't take it for granted right now that I'm in a good, healthy weight because I'm like, I don't know when, if or when something may happen. And so not that I'm, waiting for the next foot to drop or shoe to drop, but I'm mindful of it. I have to say that like I said, throughout my year, I've gone up and down. It came to a head. I came to my highest weight actually outside of residency, maybe 2 years out of residency. I
Mhm.
wasn't attending. I was working in primary care. I was getting stressed out. I wasn't able to really take care of myself. Even though I would go to
Mhm.
the gym, my weight ballooned at like 285. And
Oh.
I knew I had to do something. And
Mhm.
so I underwent bariatric surgery, got a sleeve gastrectomy in 2015, and I was able to lose 80 pounds. I started walking, I started running, and this was a newfound thing because you wouldn't have caught me doing a 5K at all. I would have been like a five. What is going on here? You got to touch me. But I realized I enjoyed it, and so I started running outside. It was just like this newfound way of exercise. But then stress came again. I got burnt out with running. Like I did about I did like 3 marathons in a year. And after the third one, I was like, I am tired. Like I don't know why I'm doing this. Like I was like, I need to stop. And so I stopped running. And then 3 months later, I had already gained 20 to 30 pounds. And I was just like astonished. I got on the scale and I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? And then I realized that even though just because I had the bariatric surgery does not mean that it's going to be off, for the rest of my life, because it's cool. The one thing I didn't realize at the time was that having extra weight or having obesity is a chronic disease. And so with like your high blood pressure, with your diabetes, you can get it under control. But if you take your eye off the ball, before you know it, your blood pressure is high or your diabetes out of control. And that's the same with weight loss and with obesity. And so, when I kind of had my come to Jesus moment, I was like, okay, we got to do something different. Like, we have to be able to make this more of a lifestyle. We have to make this is what we do. And regardless of what happens, regardless of how I'm feeling, regardless if I'm burnt out, we need to continue these healthy habits for the long term. And so that's when I really started to, get a handle on it. I started working out with the trainer. I continued to run, but I would pace myself. Never will I ever do 3 marathons in a year. We're just going to put that.
Well, considering I wouldn't do 1 marathon in 10 years, no accomplishment.
We're not doing it. So we take it easy. We enjoy it. When I run, I'm not running to win the race. So you're not going to see me like speeding down. I'm like, okay, we're going to do intervals. We're going to if we feel tired, we're going to walk a couple of minutes, then go run. We're going to take pictures. We're going to make this fun. And so what I try to do is try to make my physical activity fun. And so now I don't know if I'm not really good at fun, I have to admit, because after that, I decided to do a triathlon, and I'm always one for challenges. So then last year I decided to do an Ironman, which I did attempt, but then my bike I had 2 flat tires in a race, and you're like, who gets 2 flat tires? This one. But
it was the effort in that regard. That was just, I mean, I bow down. I can't even imagine. You're probably the only person, actually, you're probably the only person I know who's actually even attempted one.
Really?
Like, who I actually met before.
The funny thing is, there's not many like us. I have to be honest. Like, there's when you look at the African American and triathlon, there's not. We are the minority for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And so and you're right. 'Cause a lot of people don't want to. It's a lot of work. I didn't realize how much work it was. I was like, yeah, we're going to do an Ironman. And then I didn't know what came with it. But when you put down money for the race, you're like, well, I guess we're better train.
Yeah. So let me just ask you this. So for those of us out there who are not of the knowledge of Ironman, so this is running, cycling, and swimming, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So so you run a full marathon, is that correct? Like the 26 miles?
26 miles. And we do 112 miles of bicycling and 2.4 miles of swimming.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All in one day. And the goal is to do it in less than 16 hours. That's the goal. 16 hours and 30 minutes.
Well, before we continue, I just want to say hello to Tanya. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Tracy. Thank you for joining us. And Chris, thank you for joining us. So now I have a quick question for you. You mentioned that at the beginning of your journey that you had a gastric sleeve done. What do you say to those people? Because I hear this a lot about medication, about surgery, and whatever. What do you say to those people who claim that that's cheating?
Oh, it's not cheating. So I have to remind them it's not cheating, because I still have to exercise. I still have to watch what I'm eating. I'm an example. When you take your eye off the ball, that weight will come back. And there's physiological reasons why that happens. Like there's a lot of hormonal issues that are imbalanced that after the surgery, and then when you kind of stop, it makes it more easier for you to gain that weight. So I see bariatric surgery as another tool to kind of help me with maintaining my weight. A good example of this, a lot of times we see people that have a higher ghrelin or hunger hormone, and I think that was the case with me. And so with the sleeve gastrectomy, it kind of removes the receptors that are in the stomach. And the sleeve gastrectomy, for those who aren't familiar, is where they remove 80% of your stomach, and it's like a little banana-sized stomach. So it really restricts the food that you can get in. And it helped me because for some reason in my mind, I had this fear that I am going to be hungry. Like, I don't know where it came from, but I had this fear. And so now, because that fear, I'm the same person. So sometimes that thought comes up like, well, maybe you should eat just in case. Like I'll go on vacation and I'll be like, oh, make sure you have a big breakfast because you don't know when you're going to eat again. But I remind myself, listen, you have the sleeve gastrectomy. It's a tool. Drink some water, you'll be fine. Like I just remind myself, you're good. You're not going to stop. Because sometimes there's that fear that you may eat. So it's really a tool. I've been able to use it to help with kind of losing that weight. I went down from 285 to about actually 205, so around 80 pounds that I was able to lose at the time, and it really helped me. It really helped me, and it's not cheating because you still have to do all the things. Like you can't just stop. You still have to watch what you're eating. You still have to make sure you're being physically active, make sure you're reducing your stress, you're getting your sleep in, you're drinking your water. Like, you can't just you can't just take your eye off the ball after that surgery.
Yeah. I often like to tell people it's really no different than, needing a knee replacement or hip replacement or needing surgery, a stent in your heart because your heart, you have, clogged arteries. It's just a way of maximizing your health with the tools that you've got available to you. And so what do you say then to your people? Well, first let me ask you, what would someone expect working with you either as a primary care doctor or in your obesity clinic?
Yeah. So, when they first come in, I always like to do an assessment where I kind of see where you are starting from. Everyone's different. In fact, it's very refreshing because you walk in a room, you never know what somebody's gonna say, and so we kind of do an assessment to see where you are. We focus on not only your mindset as far as kind of, are you ready? Some people aren't ready to really get started. Either there's a lot of stuff going on, there's stress. So we look at your mindset, we look at your eating habits, your physical activity, looking at your stress, looking at your sleeping habits, because these are all important and all encompassing when it comes to kind of losing weight. We have to make sure that each area you're doing well and thriving. You don't have to, no one's perfect. I always tell patients, it's about progress, not perfection. Start where you are and kind of start making small steps towards a better you, because this is not a sprint. It's so funny. I had a patient in today, and we had been a minute until we had seen each other. She's like, you know what? I was doing all types of stuff, these diets to kind of help lose weight. But then as soon as I stopped, the weight came back. And so our goal is for this to be a marathon, not a sprint. We want you to be able to lose the weight, but then still be able to maintain it afterward. And sometimes you can't maintain it doing these different yo-yo dieting. You have to be able to have a lifestyle that you're able to maintain in order to see lifelong weight loss and healthiness. Most important.
I agree. And I love what you said about being a marathon instead of a sprint. Often we see people who gain weight over years and years and years and years, but they want it gone in months. And it just doesn't work that way. But I also am very pleased to hear you say a lot of what you did, because you know how it is when you talk to people and you're like kind of a parent. They don't hear it from they hear somebody else say it, suddenly it makes sense. So it's good to hear.
She had something there.
So so if someone does want to work with you and they can manage to get in.
you,
Um,
you will have it.
how
I
would they
promise.
do that, and what would they expect? I
Yeah.
mean, other than the assessment and whatever, and then how often do you see people once you start working with them? How does it work?
So definitely. So the other thing I want to point out, and I work for WellStar, and we
Mhm.
have the Centers of Best Health. So the
Okay.
Centers of Best Health, we have multiple physicians. So even if you can't get in to see me, we have
Mhm.
physicians who have experience, who know exactly what they're doing, who've been doing this for a while, who can still help you. And
Okay.
so in our program, we have not only the physician, the medical provider, we also have a dietitian and an
Mhm.
exercise physiologist and a psychologist, because
Oh, good.
weight loss
Mhm.
is not just eat more, lose, eat less, exercise more. Sometimes
Mhm.
there's a lot of emotional stress that happens that kind of trigger us to emotionally eat. There's a lot of things that have happened in our lifestyle that's affecting us in the now. And
Mhm.
so it's good to have like a psychologist or somebody where you can kind of help work through those things. And
Mhm.
so we have a combination of all three of those that are available. So when
Right.
somebody comes into any of our offices, they see the provider. The next month, they'll start to see the dietitian, the exercise
Mhm.
physiologist. So you have these people to kind of be your accountability partner. Usually, we see me, I'm a little bit of an anomaly, but the
Mhm.
majority of my partners are usually seeing people one to every month or every 6 weeks or every 3 months, depending on the person's preference.
Mhm.
But then also, I forgot to mention this, we have a support group. So every
Okay.
week we have a support group so that you feel supported and that
Mhm.
you have people that you're around like-minded people who are trying to lose weight.
Mhm.
Because not everybody wants to lose weight. And sometimes you may have a family member or a friend who is sabotaging you.
Yes.
They're putting thoughts in your mind like, you don't need to lose weight. You look fine. What's wrong with you? Why do you feel that way?
Mhm.
Like, listen, my blood pressure is telling me that I need to do something.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's good to be around people who are going through the same struggle, who are going through the
Mhm.
same insecurities, and that can you feel like, hey, I have that support. So we've been able to kind of cultivate that, and we have different offices all over in the west, in the Cobb, Paulding area, North Fulton area.
Mhm.
Mostly, even Ackworth. So there's doctors who are there that can be able to assist and help. So it's not, you don't have to wait. There are other people. There are my good colleagues that we can help with getting you where you need to be.
Okay. So for those of you who just joined us, this is Dr. Alicia Kelly. She is board certified in internal medicine and does practice primary care, but she's also a diplomat of the American Board of Obesity. And so she's boarded in obesity as well. So she helps people with weight loss and keeping it off. And her story is one of triumph and marathons and Ironmans. I still can't get over that. Um, so so then when you talk about group support, how important is that really?
It's really important
Mhm.
because no man is an island. And a lot of times, especially, and I can attest to this, you get discouraged.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't see what other people see. You look at yourself and you're like, I'm not seeing this weight coming off. It's not coming off, like you said, I'm not coming off fast enough.
Yeah.
Or this is just, I'm just doing this and nothing's happening. And so sometimes you need to, and you think that things are happening to you like, oh, I don't have time. My kids have, karate, they have baseball, the daughter has volleyball. I don't have time to go exercise. And
Mhm.
it's nice to kind of hear somebody else's story and
Mhm.
realize that you're not alone. You're
Yeah.
not alone in these different areas. And just because right now it seems a little bit difficult doesn't mean it will always be
Yeah.
difficult. And so you have people that can help with pulling you through, who can encourage you, who can kind of maybe, say, hey, let's meet up and go for a walk.
Mhm.
I'll be honest with you, I got into running because my friend asked me to do a 5K. I
Mm.
literally looked at her like she had two heads, but eventually I relented. But if
Mhm.
you have positive people in your life,
Yes.
it makes a huge difference in you going forward. So
So I
I
have a question. A quick question then. You
did.
mentioned stress more than once. What do you do to reduce your stress?
Oh wow. So the running helps. Just
Okay.
actually, it's really being out in nature. So
Okay.
I find even when I'm cycling, just the trees, the birds, it
Mhm.
helps. The funny thing is I don't really have as much time to like read a book, but I used to be in the library. Like I love to
Mhm,
read. But other things that I do to relax is spending time with friends, Bible
mhm,
study, going to church, kind of having things to kind of ground me. Having
mhm.
people around me who I enjoy their company, concerts. Oh, and I love a good massage. You have to, and I had to actually make sure that I embed that into my lifestyle because
Mhm.
I'll forget.
Yeah.
It'll be a month or 2 or 3, and I'm like, why am I so achy? Man, I'm eating
Mm.
a massage. So it's important, I think, to kind of find those things that kind of help you to
Mhm.
de-stress because life is stressful and
Yes.
it's not going to get any better. It's just looking at the news can be stressful, and
Yeah.
so you need to have that outlet, have that thing that you do that kind of brings you into your Zen moment.
Mhm. So you heard it straight from the doctor's mouth, massages.
Yes, yes.
I
So
used to actually prescribe massages.
yes, yeah,
Oh,
me
just take a prescription pad and write before the days of electronic medical records. I'm dating myself, and I would write, "Get a massage," and
too.
to
And you
people.
know what? Sometimes the wives want their husband to do the massage. They're like, I need a prescription, so he'll do it.
Mhm.
But it's important. It's
It
important.
is.
It's
It's
part of
very
that self
important.
care and relaxation.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times we get so busy helping others and just like taking care of our family, our kids, or our spouse, their
Mhm.
family, and we
Yeah,
forget about ourselves. And so
exactly.
it's important that we take that time for us because how can we care for somebody if we're not
Mhm.
healthy?
Exactly. So tell everyone, how can they find you? What's the best way to find you?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at Dr. Shelley MD, also on Facebook at Dr. Shelley MD. You can find me at my website at drshelleymd.com. Also, I have a podcast called the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss podcast. Feel free. Each week we have guests on, people on who are going through the struggle, who can help you with when you're trying to lose weight and in any obstacle or problem you have, we've been able to talk about it and hopefully be able to give you some strategies and how you overcome
Mhm. And I tell you, as much good information as you can get is just really important. And I tell people, you don't just have to listen to me. Listen to anyone that, and this is, she's the perfect person, perfect resource. And so, you have access now. So you're hearing it from two sources. No excuse.
Yes, where you hear it from both of us, so you know it's true.
It has to be true. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This has been extremely enjoyable and very informative for many of us. And I just can't wait to watch you continue and your next Iron Man, because I know you're going to do one.
September
Or
16th,
Iron Woman, I should say.
Iron Woman. Yes, September 16th. I already booked it.
Oh, really? When?
September 16th, we're doing Iron Man, Maryland.
Wow. All right. Well, you heard it. And so we'll support you in that. But thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd just like to share in general, just for anyone who's listening right now?
Yeah, for those who may be listening, you may be at different stages of your weight loss journey, but
Mhm,
know number one that you can do it, believe in yourself,
mhm.
and know just start where you are and kind of make the baby steps so that you can get to your goal. And you may be surprised just how healthy and how happy you feel, even if it's not as if you're doing everything all at once. So just start where you are and then keep going. The secret sauce to weight loss is consistency.
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 Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. And hopefully you'll come back and join me again.
I love to. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone. And thank you for joining in.